So the first thing we're going to talk about is a point. And that is the smallest unit in geometry, the smallest thing in geometry. And when we name a point, we usually put a dot and then we can say point A. Okay? And I'm going to draw a big picture after this that has all these things in it, and you'll see what I mean by that. But it'll be point A, means it's just a point in time. It doesn't go to infinity and beyond. It doesn't do anything. It's just one little point. Okay? There is no way you can physically represent a point because it's so teeny tiny that you can't draw a point small enough. So of course it has a little bit of fatness to it, but it's not supposed to. Okay? The next thing we have is a segment. And when we have a segment, let's say I have a line here that has arrows, and I have point AB. Well, segment AB is just going to be a straight line on top. It's just the space between A and B. All right, so ray is the next one. No, I'm not going to do that. Ray is the next. So ray is next. Ray, let's say we have that same line, A to B, and that goes on forever. A ray starts at one letter, goes through the other letter, and it goes on to infinity and beyond, like Buzz Lightyear, okay? So if it's ray AB, it's going to be from A all the way through B forever, but it starts at A. If it's ray BA, the ray, you always draw the line to the right like that, but that one is going to be from B to A to infinity to the left. Do you see that? So the first letter of a ray makes a difference. The first letter of a segment doesn't make a difference. If you put segment BA, it would still be the distance between B and A. Does everybody see that? All right, what's the next one? He's the next one. And if we have here line AB, how far does line AB go? To infinity and beyond on both sides. So if I were to draw a line, that line on the board like that, that line goes all the way uptown Charlotte and all the way down to Waxhaw, and it keeps going, okay? It just keeps going. It never stops. When you're naming things, if you don't put the right little symbol on top of the letters, you might be naming it wrong. And you could get it wrong because you're not putting the right thing, okay? A lot of people get lazy throughout the year and they just forget to put the symbol on top. I don't know if it's a segment, array, or a line. Sometimes I go, well, I know what they mean. But some people might be picky about that, okay? So you need to remember how to put those symbols on top. Everybody get that? When you have a line, you will frequently see a lowercase cursive letter off to the side, like M or N or L. They use L's a lot. Line L, get it? Starts with an L. So you can also call that line M, okay? You'll see that too. Line M, that's cursive.
Oh no, I can write in cursive.
So now we have a plane. And what is a plane? Does anybody know? What would be an example of a plane in this room? The top of the table is a plane. Somebody else?
The notebooks.
A page on your notebook. The floor is a plane. The walls of the room are a plane. Now, there is no way to really draw a real plane. Why is that? because that plane there includes going that way, this way, and that way. You can't draw it. It's infinite. It's just where it is in space. Yes. So what you do usually with a plane is you draw like usually it's a rectangle or square, something like that. And there's different names that they can give to it. If the plane has points on it, let's say it has a point A, and here's a point B, and a point C, and those points aren't in a straight line, you can name it plane ABC, because that gives you the direction that it's going to go in. If I were to just name it AC, it could be, if you can think of a piece of paper cutting through A and C this way, it could be this plane, or it could be this plane, or it could be that plane. So there's an infinite amount of planes on it with 2 letters. But with 3 non-collinear, what does collinear mean? In a straight line. Co-worker, somebody you work with. Collinear, somebody on the same line as you, okay? So if it's non-collinear, you can name it with 3 letters. So this can be plane ABC. Okay, that's one way to name it. You need 3 letters at least, okay? But sometimes they'll put a cursive capital letter on the thing. And so like that. That's also plane G, and it designates the same plane, ABC and plane G. Got it? An angle, when you name an angle, you can name it with 3 letters or with 1 letter if it's not a complicated angle. This is not a complicated angle. There's just one elbow. Everybody understand what I mean by the elbow? It's called the vertex. It's where the 2 lines meet, right? I call it the elbow. Where's the elbow?
B.
At B. You can name this guy angle B. Okay? But you can also name it 2 other things. Does anybody know what that is? Mm-mm. 3 letters. You need 3 letters. 3 letters. You do A, B, C, or
CBA.
Very good. What has to be in the middle?
B.
The elbow of the angle. Whatever the elbow is. Okay? So when you have an angle that has a lot of angles in the picture, how many angles do you see in this picture? I'm going to mark an angle on here, and you're going to tell me first how many ways are there to name that angle and what are the names, okay? I want you to write them down first so you're not just screaming out answers. So I'm going to mark this angle right here. If you name this angle plane B, I'm in the middle of the intersection. I don't know if we're talking about this guy, this guy, that guy, this guy. I don't know who I'm talking about. Where do I go? If you said go to angle B, you could be anywhere. If I told you to stand on angle B, you would all be in different places. You could be together. You could just be swayed by the guy next to you and say, I'm going to go with him wherever he goes. But you don't know where to go. So in this case, it's a complicated picture. You absolutely need 3 letters. And you're going to start at one side of the angle, go to the elbow, and then go out the other side. So who wants to give me one way to name this angle, the red one?
GBC.
GBC is one way. Angle GBC. It starts at G, goes to B, and then goes out through C, and it goes to infinity and beyond. Does everybody get that?
No.
Now, you know where to stand if I tell you to stand on angle GBC, but you don't know where to stand if I tell you to stand on B. Now, what is another way to name it?
Reverse.
CBG, and that's it.
That's it.
What do you think about a triangle? How many ways are there to name this triangle?
No, there's
There's-
a lot. Hold on.
I think there's 6. I do. But let's see if I can find them.
Wait,
Well-
didn't you say there's like 2 to each one?
Hmm?
Didn't you say there's like 2 to each one?
Well, you can go the right way, A, B, C, which is normally put them in alphabetical order if you've got letters that are in alphabetical order. But you don't have to. You can be different, and I'm not going to be upset. So triangle ABC is the most common way to name that triangle, right? But we can start with B. BCA. We're still going clockwise, right? And then we can start with C. CAB. But then we can go counterclockwise, and that would be ACB. Triangle. Well, CBA and BAC. So the first one is parallel lines, the first type of lines. Does anybody want to point out some parallel lines in this room? What are parallel lines? What do?
They like stay
Never
even with
cross.
each other.
They go in the same direction forever and ever, and never, ever, ever will intersect. They'll never touch.
These 2 tables.
The edges of these 2 tables are lines. The tables are planes.
Yeah.
And that's technically the same plane if you think about it, because that one goes forever this way, this one goes forever that way, and assuming they're the same height, they're the same plane. But the line on the edge of this table, but think of the box. Show me some parallel lines in the box.
2.
Yeah, the top corner
One
there,
is-
and the top corner there. Even the bottom, the floor and that one is parallel. They're just on a slant, but they're parallel, right? So parallel lines go in the same direction, never intersect. What are perpendicular lines?
Intersect at a perfect
Intersect at what? 2 lines that intersect at what?
90 degrees.
A right angle, a 90-degree angle, yes. And when you're talking about that line there in the corner of the room with the floor line, that should be a 90-degree angle unless the contractor didn't make it that way, okay? My son's in construction. He has to check to make sure that's a 90-degree angle so that the building doesn't fall down, okay? So lines that intersect